Top 5 songs for week ending December 21st. Nothing new enters our chart circle this week, but the list gets a good shaking up. Let's open in 5th place, where last week champ Miley Cyrus falls to 5th place with Wrecking Ball. Miley has finally opened up about her relationship with ex-boyfriend, Australian actor Liam Hemsworth, with whom she broke up after nearly 4 years. Speaking with Barbara Walters, Miley said that for a long time she was scared of being alone, and that conquering that fear was among her biggest accomplishment this year. Stepping back a slot in 4th place, comes third with another former title holder, Royals. Last week, Lorde surprised her fans by releasing a new single, No Better. She also says she's writing songs for her second full-length album, which hasn't had a chance to hit the studio yet. Up to start to 3rd place goes One Republic with Counting Stars. This song has already hit number 1 in the United Kingdom, but how high has One Republic risen in its US homeland? Well, they haven't had a US number 1 single yet. Back in 2007, their debut single, Apologize, reached 2nd place, while hitting number 1 in more than a dozen countries. Up to start to 2nd place go Pitbull and Kesha with Timber. Pitbull tells radio host Ryan Seacrest that Elvis's international hit Wake Me Up inspired him to use harmonica in this song. As for him, working with Kesha, they've sung and toured together before, and Pitbull says they became good friends. Up at number 1 is a familiar duo, Emily and Rihanna with The Monster. How many times have they collaborated? If you said twice, you are wrong. This is their 4th collaboration. You probably remember their huge 2010 hit Love the Way We Lie, and they also sang together on its sequel, Love the Way You Lie, Part 2. Finally, they paired work together on Numb, which appears on Rihanna's latest album, Unapologetic. That's it for now, but let's reunited next week for a new lineup. Unreleased 1963 Beatles tracks hit iTunes ahead of copyright deadline. Songs recorded by the Beatles 50 years ago went on sale Tuesday to meet a deadline they otherwise would have met, backlogging the music legal. If the music sounds familiar, you may have heard unauthorized, lesser quality version circulated by fans for decades, or similar text on the several anthology albums released over the years by Beatles label Apple Corps. The 59 tracks downloadable on iTunes for $40 are previously unreleased. When John, Paul, George, and Ringo worked through a dozen or more takes of a song to get one they and producer George liked, they likely hoped fans would never hear their mistake. Some takes were so disliked that the tapes were destroyed. The surviving recordings became a liability for the record label because their copyright unreleased material ends on January 1st, 2014. Independent labels could legally send compilations of rejected versions of Beatles hits. Releasing them now gives Apple another 20 years protection under a recent change in European law. The British government, following the change in European copyright law, implemented a law last month providing that if a record label is not commercially releasing a track that is over 15 years old, then the performers can request that the rights in the performance revert to them. A use is or risk is closed, the government's website said. Apple Corp did not comment to CNN on the motivation for the release, but the timing of the release and their naming it the Beatles Black Recording 1963 suggested the connection. No doubt many hardcore Beatles fans around the world are binging on the 14 outtakes from 3 1963 studio sections, and the 14 full songs from the dozens of BBC's radio shows the group performed on, when their fan base was mostly limited to the British Isles. The album also offers 2 demo recordings of songs written for others. The first Beatles Abbey Road sessions. The first several tracks come from their legendary 13-hour session with Martin on February 11, 1963. You'll hear 3 full tracks of There's a Place, the first song they recorded that Fateful Day at EMI Studio in Abbey Road, London. Some of the tracks apparently were recorded for good measure after the group already got a tag they were satisfied with. The new release includes the 7th take of Do You Want to Know a Secret, while the 6th one was released in 1963. At the end of the track, McCartney comments about the do-da-do beat in the vocal harmonies. The 6th take of Taste of Honey is included from that section. It was the 5th take with added vocals that made it on the 1963 album. The Beatles got only 3 complete takes of I Saw Her Standing There out of 9 attempts during the marathon first session. One was released in 1963 and the second in a 1995 anthology project. The new release, the 2nd take, is the 3rd and one previously unreleased complete version. 2 takes of Misery, the 1st and 7th recording that afternoon are included. You will not hear Martin's piano, which was dubbed onto the final version a week later. Abbey Road Studio, March 1963. The 2 tracks of From You to Me offer a glimpse of the group's studio demeanor during another Abbey Road session on March 5, 1963. They stopped playing abruptly in the first take, with Martin asking why. I just thought I heard you talking actually. Did you whistle? one beetle to another at the end of the second take. Ah, you missed the ending, baby. George is to play the first bit of the instrumental, isn't he? Nino asked before they start another take. Came right into the harmony. Thank you, girl. A song written as a tribute to their already dedicated female groupies is next. The new release includes the first and fifth of 13 tracks from the March session. The song was used as a B-side on a single. Fans can enjoy a lot of chatter between the group on the two tracks of One After 909 in the March section. What are you doing? Nino asked another when the first track falls apart. Are you out of your mind? The song was not released until the Beatles played it on the rooftop for the 1970 Lady B album. The band seemed to struggle in that March session with Hold Me Tight, a song that later said they never cared for. The Bedlock Project gives you track 21. The last studio outtake on the album is Money, That's What I Want, recorded on July 18, 1963. Beatles on the BBC 1963. The next 44 tracks are from the dozens of Beatles live appearances on BBC radio programs in 1963, including Saturday Club, Easy Bed, Here We Go, Side by Side, From Us to Us, and the group's own weekly series, Pop Go the Beatles. Several versions of their first big hit in England, Love Me Do, Task of Honey, and She Loves You, are included. Some of the shows had live audience, adding the flavor of screaming fans. The recording quality, known in stereo, varies from show to show, since the BBC was not trying to save the performance from later release. The tracks include the BBC host introductions, which remind the listeners of where the Beatles were in early 1963. For the moment, the majority of the Beatles fans are in their hometown of Liverpool, and I have a very strong suspicion that it won't be long before they are all over the country, the announcer said as he introduced their performance of Love Me Do on the BBC's Easy Bed show on January 26, 1963. Having a dog helps fight allergies. A new scientific study confirms that dogs are beneficial not only as pets but also for helping fight allergies. The study reinforced previous findings that children exposed to dogs and cats are less likely to develop allergies such as asthma. In 2010, scientists at the University of California in San Francisco confirmed that immune responses were affected by microbes living in our gut. But they wanted to know if allergic protection due to exposure to dogs also worked through the gut bacteria. In the new study, dogs from a home without pets and from a home with a dog that frequently went outside was mixed with water and given to young mice and were later exposed to strong allergens. Mice fed with dogs from the dog owner's house had little or no allergic reactions, while the other mice had running nose and respiratory problems. According to a report published Wednesday in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, mice with dog dust had a large amount of certain microbes in their gut. When the same microbe was fed to other mice not previously exposed to the dog dust, it also dampened their allergic reaction. They also were less sick when infected with a virus that causes humans to become asthmatic. The new study provides additional evidence that modern, cleaner ways of life make us more prone to allergies and autoimmune disorders. Chinese fans dare to dream big but come up short in Morocco. Rebelling 60 miles southeast of the home of China's latest sports phenomena, but a kick-off approach led atmosphere in Hong Kong is, in contrast to European Champions League nights, muted at best. The city's fans, it seems, don't always have the stomach for 3:30 a.m. kickoffs. A mere border may separate Hong Kong from Guangdong and its flagship sports franchise, Guangzhou Evergrande FC, but the city seems unaware or uncaring that the team from the neighboring province is playing the game of their lives. This team, which was languishing in China's second division when the property magnate kjhvg bought it in 2010, has just played current European champions Bournemouth at Stade in Morocco. There's no feeling of ownership here of the team that has surprised everyone and captured a historic trophy in the process, as Hong Kong fans struggle to even find the FIFA Club World Cup on their dials. The physical situation of this southern Chinese team is not dissimilar to that at, say, Chelsea or Manchester City, both title hopefuls in England's overwhelming popular Premier League or League First Paris Saint-Germain, who have similarly benefited enormously from the largesse of well-to-do owners. Audrey has decided on Europe's biggest prize, the Champions League. Chinese domestic football can hope to match the popularity of English or Spanish football here in Hong Kong, but even so there's been little sense of occasion tonight. If anyone was capturing hearts and minds, it would have been the Bayern players, with an assured victory over the newly wealthy Chinese, with 3 rapid-fire goals around the halftime whistle sealing victory in a game in which Ganson failed to score. The result was never really in doubt. The question was rather than severity of the mauling, but just to be once the same page in a competitive match, albeit as underdogs, is enough for many mainland fans. After all, Bayern are the team of wooden coach Pep Guardiola, formerly of Stuart serial winners Fabi Brosnan, along with players such as midfield master Philip Slav and Valen, over hopeful Frank Ribery. While it might have been hard to tell in Hong Kong, it has been arguably the biggest night of Johnson Evergreen's short existence, as eclipsed even the AFC Champions League victory over FC Seoul on Always Goals in October, a victory orchestrated by Italy's 2006 World Cup winning coach Marcel Lipp. China's latest success on the Asian stage came over 2 decades earlier, before some of the players on the pitch were even born, when Lenin triumphed in the now defunct Asian Club Championship. She, who runs property developer Evergrande Real Estate Group and is reportedly China's 13th richest man, energized Chinese football when his team lifted the AFC Champions League trophy in October. And while it is nigh impossible to break the hegemony of the European League's popularity in Asia, beating the best of Korea, Japan, and Iran, who supplied the other representative of the semifinals, provided China would compete with the best, regionally at last, and brought them to the world's attention last night. The Chinese team beat African champions Al Asha in Saturday's quarter-final to step out of semi-finals clash with Bayern, whose from under Guardiola has been frighteningly good, where aspiration of beating their stellar team may be young. The Chinese arrivists at present, their last match shows promise, with success comes profile, with profile fans. I'm not a fan yet, just interested, Louis Chen says by email the day before the match. His Hong Kong-based Manchester United fans said he was planning to get up or stay up to watch the match. It makes me proud to see a Chinese team play at this level, and if they win, I'll think about starting to go out to watch their games in Guangzhou. Prizing the loyalty of already declared fans like Tom away from their European teams might be a hard sell for an outfit they routinely pass its track week in, week out, and the parochial confines of the Chinese Super League. But the team's run of form has started to win them new admirers, like 19-year-old Yu, who comes from Ghana, but studying in Rennes, in France. I'm not a real fan, she says, also by email. However, maybe later I will be more interested in the team. The club's success attracts me to become a fan of it. Xu Yanyin is starting a long-term project. He has setting up football school and recruiting the best coaches. Ahead of the game, she remains coy about predicting the result, but with an admirable optimism, says, I believe that my team, our Chinese team, will make a miracle. But not everyone in China is convinced. John Lin, President of China fan club, the FC Ryan Regine, tells CNN that he's happy that Bayern played the Chinese team. On one hand, it's my favorite team, and on the other hand, it's a team from my country, he says via translator. It's not that much of a test of my loyalty. I pay much more attention to Bayern's games, and even though China is a Chinese team, I don't follow them so closely. I hope that at some point in the future a Chinese team will be able to rival a European team, but for the present there's still a gap in the skill level. But this is a good start, for Chinese teams to play European teams more often is a good learning opportunity. South Africa's first smartphone to hit shelves in 2014. Smartphones are growing in popularity in South Africa, but their expense and the cost of contracts have meant only a fraction of the population can afford them. One South Africa plans to change that by introducing the first indigenously designed and manufactured smartphone aimed at attracting lower middle class consumers. South Africa loves their mobile phone, according to a recent Afrobarometer report. 93% of South Africans have one. But 80% of these phones are feature phones, simple handsets with a number keypad, which can be used to dial numbers and send text messages. Dr. Tabu Loco wants to change that. Earlier in 2014, his company, Sinmaco Telecoms, in partnership with manufacturers DD Electronics, is bringing a new smartphone to South Africans that will retail at around $230. There's a lot of people that are currently on feature phones but would love to have a smartphone but can afford to have one on the current pricing. We then notice that there is actually a band, a night chat band that we can come in and support. Local said, Apple's iPhone will cost a consumer about $1,000 without a 2-year contract that would typically lower the phone's price. A buyer would pay about $800 without a contract for a Samsung Galaxy. Consumers like Terence Mathama says it is expensive, but South Africans who can afford it are tempted to buy high-end brands. For all 2,500, well, the phone has to appeal to a lot of people for us to buy it. My phone, I had to take it out on contract because they wanted something like $8,000 upfront. And then you look at taking it out on contract, you look at the package which they give you, he said. It was out it being better to take it out on contract, as opposed to having $8,000 upfront. That's a lot of money. Logging into a contract can also be expensive, as phone minutes and data plans are costly. For $47 a month, one iPhone contract buys you 75 minutes per month and 2,200 megabytes of data. For most lower-income South Africans, a contract is not in the cards. Instead, they just buy prepaid minutes. And that is where Lakelog is aiming his new phone. The idea was that we were trying to make this thing relevant for our market, he said. He is hoping the price at just $238, and the fact that the phone is designed and manufactured in South Africa will be selling point. There's a lot of people that actually appreciate that the fact when these phones are manufactured here. We're going to be creating a lot of jobs locally. That on its own and is a serious value add that the other guys cannot provide, he said. The phone will be manufactured in Midrand, a suburb north of Johannesburg, and the factory should employ a couple of hundred people to start. The local hub of the phone will bring more South Africans online. In a country where 2/3 of adults have never used the internet. Shapan McPhone, a smartphone owner, said he would like to see more opportunities for the poor to access information. Smartphones penetration in South Africa is really huge. I'm more interested in the lower end, the people in the lower end, as well as them getting access to all this technology. I think it's like a great opportunity for them to come on board as well, said McPhone. Dr. Tabu Leloko is hoping consumers in that market feel the same way.